It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is The Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
Stauncch.
And John.Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Happy birthday, America. Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, John.Nash. We're not going to lie. This is a pre-record because it's the 4th of July. And for those of you that aren't eating hot dogs or drinking beer or doing anything fun, you're watching us here on the Focus Group because we're still coming to you live. Kind of, through Facebook and the YouTube at 1 p.m. East on a Wednesday.
And just before we came on air, Tim was telling me about, we don't have to share the content of the dreams, but Tim had some disturbing dreams. And what did he do? He self-diagnosed through Google. What happens if I dream about a truck on a road? And they will give you an answer.
I don't have a problem telling what it is.
Okay.
So I dreamed about poop in a toilet, which I didn't know what. I thought that's an odd thing for me to dream about. The boys in the booth, did you ever have a dream about poop in a toilet?
I wish.
We've got John and Garrett with us, taking us out
Can't
here.
say I have. Never pooping.
So I never did
maybe.
either. So I went and I immediately Googled it this morning. I went on my
Which is
iPad.
what everybody does.
I got on the
dreams,
machine.
right?
I got on the machine and I looked it up. And it just says that you're getting rid of excess baggage and emotion, and you're cleaning the decks, clearing the decks. So that's a good thing.
And what's today's color?
Today's color?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Choose one.
Oh.
Same thing, right? Like
Richard told me. So
that's
Mark,
a good blue.
Well, Mark Pipkin and Paul and Mass told me to wear the royal blue, and
I like this blue.
So I had bought this blue at Brooks Brothers at an outlet, and Richard said he thought it was a good color for me. So this is the first time I'm wearing light blue. I usually don't because I think I sweat underneath.
I'm careful of light colors for that exact reason because
You have a light color on today.
Yeah, but I also have a T-shirt on.
I thought we should have worn red, white, and blue. John and I were upset we didn't fix the set or decorate the set with an American flag. And happy Canada Day for our Canadian friends. July 1st it was, a couple days ago. But we thought we could have had, little flags set up and hamburgers, hot dogs, beers, all that sort of thing.
That's a lot of setting up. Hot hamburgers, hot dogs, beers, a flag.
Because on our holiday show, when the fall comes, we do the set, and we have the backgrounds, and we
the
do
gourds and the
gourds,
pumpkins
the trees,
and the corn,
the abominable snowman,
maize. That's for Christmas time. All right, I'll keep my eyes peeled for a centerpiece kind of thing that could be easily unpacked and.
Well, I was going to say, what would our next holiday be after the 4th? We would have to do it. So it's not back to school. Is not
Labor Day.
What are you going to do?
Yeah,
Hammer and sickle?
Show a doll in a worker's uniform holding a wrench, like G.I. Joe holding a wrench, or someone on an assembly line with a welder.
Yeah.
It's Labor Day.
So I am down. So if you're watching this, I am down in Rehoboth, if I'm alive, and you're in
I'm upstate.
You're upstate in New York, if you're alive.
Yeah, I'm alive. Yeah.
Anything? So any great plans for the 4th? I'm going to see the fireworks in Rehoboth. They're doing that on the beach.
I am hoping that our neighbors next door to us, who always have fireworks on the DL.
They have their own?
Yeah. I don't know where they get them, but they're great.
Are they legal in New York?
No, you can't have them as a person, but they probably go to, I'm thinking Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, or any of the states that allow it. But one year we had our family up, and they started shooting off the fireworks, and we all set up chairs in the backyard. It was a great display. It was right there. I mean, it was the whole, and my mom was like, we could do this every year. Tell your neighbors to buy more fireworks. So I'm hoping they do it. Our friends Trace and Christine are coming up for a barbecue.
On what day?
They're coming up on the 4th and staying till Thursday. And it's supposed to be very hot.
Yes, I was going to say, you're putting them in the little bungalow.
They're staying in the guest house. It's supposed to be, but I think by Tuesday of next week, it's supposed to just be warm, but not necessarily.
Are they bringing the dog?
No, the dog's staying in the city. The last time the dog came up, Christine brought their dog up, and I don't know how many months ago, a coworker of Bob's had given me a pot cookie. This is the same deal where, like, I don't know how to deal with an edible, and so I just left it in its little bag, and I threw it in the bottom of a bag.
Forgot about it.
I totally forgot. I did forget about it. So I come up on the train after doing the show, because this goes back to a while ago, and Bob comes down with an empty plastic bag, and he said, was this the bag that had the Whole Foods chocolate chip cookie in it the vegan cookie. And I'm like, where'd you find it? He goes, on the floor up in the bedroom. I'm like, no, that's down in the kitchen. I said, oh my God. I said, Bob, I think that's that cookie that your friend gave us from work months ago. Bella, the dog, had eaten the cookie. Now, if I've told the story, I think I've told the story before, because slowly but surely the dog became, and she's like one of these nervous dogs, like really just drives people crazy, became a beautiful little pet, almost like a lap dog. It was the most amazing experience. Meanwhile, the owners are freaked out. And they're calling the vet. You got to get the stomach. You got to do all this. But it's July. It was a holiday, so this was like over a year or two ago, and so that couldn't happen. And Bob was the only one that there. John found our.
Oh, is that our background?
That's our background.
Happy birthday, America.
That's the background. And so Bob. I said, Bob, why aren't you worried about this? He goes, oh, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, a neighbor. We were all getting high one day, and a neighbor's dog came and ate this pasta sauce that was laced with weed, and the dog was loopy for a while and then fell asleep and woke up and was fine. Well, it turns out that in this case, Bella, during the evening, she's under the dining room table, and she's now the dog's like on all fours, and like, literally it looks like it's on a ship getting seasick. And eventually Bella threw up, but I didn't tell the owners that. I didn't tell Trace. I saw her do it. I thought, I'm not going to say a word. And then finally I let them know, and I said, she's going to be fine. And so the next morning, after about 5 minutes after the dog got up, she was still like cool. Mellow. And then it all started, the whole behavior thing, and she's running around and trying to get in everything. And I was like,
glad you didn't have another cookie.
I would have loved to have had another cookie. Thanks for finding that, John. I remember that's from...
That's a good background. So what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Well, it was not intentional that we talk about this, but what caught my eye was a California hotels, boutique hotels, that are now offering... they're not offering it, but they're marijuana friendly. So Coachella Valley is one of them. There's a place that's out by Palm Springs, in case you don't know. It's called the Desert Hot Springs Inn. They began advertising themselves as cannabis friendly, a place where guests can smoke by the pool or heat up a vaporizer in their rooms.
It's smoke by the pool.
Yeah, you could hang out with a joint by the pool. So what surprised the innkeeper, John Thatcher, was not only that the business improved by as much as 50% when he began saying, come on out, relax, we're not going to bother you with it. But he said that the guests that he's attracting are upper-income baby boomers. He goes, it was not your basement stoner crowd. I never associated the stoner crowd with the basement, but that's just me. Desert Hot Springs is one. There's a couple other places out in Miami. No, not Miami, but he's a Miami landlord, but he's in California. So although there's small independent hotels doing this, and some of them even put little treats on your bed, apparently you can have, in California, you can have a certain amount of marijuana given to you. I forget the amount it is, but so they might put a little treat on the pillow, or maybe it's like a tiny joint or something. I think it's hysterical myself. But a hospitality expert said that this is going to be a problem for hotels.
Why?
Can you guess why? There's two reasons, and the one that I did not think of is the one that I think might actually be the one that causes problems. But cannabis-friendly hotels have to pay to clean the smoke residue from draperies and sheets.
Oh.
So he said that this expert said if these hotels, these boutique hotels, allow their customers to smoke in their rooms, they're going to be dealing with the burden of improving the room, getting it nice and clean again. And then he said, you don't expect the big chain hotels to be doing this anytime soon because they don't want to run afoul of corporate expense accounts. I laughed at that line. You know what people do with corporate expense accounts, right? It's titty bars. Am I mistaken? I mean, you know what people put on their cars.
I never did, but people do.
So then I conclude this piece by saying that they're staying boutique for the time being. There is one in West Hollywood called the Moment Hotel on Sunset Boulevard. They allow smoking on their rooftop deck. They encourage it in the rooms, but they want it on the rooftop deck, which is good. And
see, that's what I would have thought would avoid that whole cleaning of the draperies and everything.
Leave it outside.
Smoke outside.
And
like you would tobacco.
The guy that owns the proprietor of the Moment Hotel on Sunset Boulevard says that he thinks that's the way it will go. That there'll be an area, like a pleasant area, that you could just do it outside. But some of the biggest winners in this whole thing are vending machines. So some of the inns who have vending machines on their property say that the machine owners are thrilled because they have to restock the machine like on every other day basis because people are getting munchies late at night, pushing that Oreo cookie thing or those little orange crackers. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So there you go. That's what caught my eye.
Got to check into that hotel. I guess this goes along with it. This is Chinese food. You get the munchies. Did you ever do all-you-can-eat Chinese?
No.
Never underestimate the Chinese appetite, John. So the headline here is the all-you-can-eat buffet bankrupts Chinese hot pot restaurant in just 2 weeks.
In other words, everybody came.
So this guy decided he was going to run a promotion. He just opened a hot pot restaurant. Apparently there's 10,000 of these restaurants in Chengdu, China. There's 10 million people there. So he offered $25 month-long promotion all you can eat. So you got a card for $25 and then it allowed you all you could eat at the buffet. But what he didn't figure out was people were buying the card and giving it to friends, giving it to family members. He thought people were going to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah. So they said the lines every day were deep around the street. Over 500 people came in every day to eat. He ended up in 2 weeks $100,000 in debt.
Wow!
Because they went through that much food, and he wasn't able to keep up with it. So he had to shut the doors. It said, so what happened was, as this worked, that you paid a fee and you received the membership card. It entitled you to unlimited food for the month. But then people were, obviously, as I said, handing it over to, here, John, go eat at the Chinese restaurant.
That's what we call unintended consequences, right?
Yeah.
So that card being handed, I don't think he ever foresaw it. You said he didn't foresee it.
He didn't foresee it, and they said that social media in China lit up, and this was the translation, so I'm not making fun of the English, but essentially one of them was, the owner gets himself out of business. You would not dare to play this kind of thinking in China. It's all the people in China were saying that the guy was essentially crazy. He said he thought what he was going to do, this sounded like Lucy and Ethel with the salad dressing. His expectation was that he was going to lose money in the beginning but make it up in volume. And then he said he hoped that because of the high volume of food he was selling, that all his vendors and suppliers would lower the cost due to his increased volume, and he would make money that way. So he was trying to be competitive with the other restaurants in town. But obviously it didn't happen.
And it's closed.
It's closed. So if you go to Chengdu, you're going to have to find another hot pot restaurant.
And you can't scam a card and get like free meals from someone who bought the card.
No. And then on our business birthday today,
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings.
Click.
But the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
it is a holiday.
Yeah.
Your friend and mine, John, Leona Helmsley's birthday today, July 4th, 1920. She died August 20th at 87 years old in 2007. An American businesswoman known for her flamboyant personality and her reputation for tyrannical behavior, earning her the sobriquet,
The Queen of Mean. Yeah.
Do you know Leona?
Well, she was a big presence in New York, hotel and real estate back in the 90s, I'd say. Yeah,
90s. Her real name was Lena Mindy Rosenthal. And so she ended up changing her name many times, I said, to Leona Roberts. She ended up selling condominiums and met Harry Helmsley, who was a big real estate entrepreneur. He left his wife for 33 years and married Leona. And then they started doing real estate in Manhattan and made up to $4 billion in real estate. Some of their holdings included 230 Park Avenue, the Empire State Building, Tudor City, as well as many other complexes on the east side, as well as the Helmsley Spare Management Company, and also the Palace Hotel, Park Lane Hotel, and a bunch of things in Florida. But she was, they said, really had a horrible reputation, particularly with the staff. Their only son, Jay Panzerer, I don't know if I say that right, died of a heart attack, and he was living in one of the Helmsley properties, and Leona sent the wife an eviction notice a couple days afterwards to get the hell out. Can you imagine? Your only kid's wife is living in one of your condos, and you're going to evict them.
Your daughter-in-law, essentially, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's her. That's the one we remember from
Leona won. She won and got $146,000. Sued the widow. Sued her son's wife and got $146,000. They said they were also, the Helmsleys were very much known for not paying any of their bills. They said they would dispute everything with contractors and vendors, which sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like
yeah.
somebody we know is in
Somebody
the
we
White
know
House.
down at Pennsylvania Avenue. Yep.
And so there was story after story of ways they used to screw contractors out. I thought, here we go, small world. 1988, U.S. District Attorney Rudy Giuliani
Yep.
indicted the Helmsleys and on tax-related charges as well as extortion. So she was supposed to get something like 16 years in prison. She only ended up 19 months in prison and got out, and she was represented by Alan Dershowitz. I mean, you can't make it up.
All the lines are crossing.
The National Enquirer. So when she died, she left $12 million to her little dog, Trouble.
I remember this. I remember this now.
And so the dog was supposed to be taken care of. And there was a guy in Florida that
Was the handler
the handler named Carl Likic. And the $2 million would go for keeping the dog for 10 years. They said $100,000 for full-time security, $8,000 a year for grooming, $1,200 for food, and $60,000 guardianship fee that this Carl would pick up. Wow. Little Trouble lived down in at the Sandcastle, the Helmsley Sandcastle Hotel in Florida. The dog died in 2010, and so the leftover money went back to the charitable trust, the Helmsley's Trust. She was also sued by Charles Bell, who was a gay employee who said he was fired because he was gay. He actually was awarded $11.2 million in damages. She fought it on appeal, and they ended up paying him about $500,000. And then when she died, she had 4 grandchildren. Only 2 of them received money. The other 2 did not. And the only way 2 of them would receive money, she gave them $5 million in a trust and $5 million in cash under the condition that they visit the father's gravesite each year, and you had to go in and sign a registration book that was held at the mausoleum to prove that you were there. Otherwise, the money would stop. And somebody felt bad. Dershowitz said he actually felt bad for the other 2 grandchildren, and they did finally were able to get some money out of the trust to give the other grandchildren.
The guest book thing, I was going to ask how they plan to enforce the visitation to the grave, but you answered it for us by saying that you had to basically go in and sign a guest book, proving that you'd been there.
Yeah, and there was countless things. Alan Dershowitz said that one day they were having breakfast, she threw a cup on the ground and broke it because the guy had spilled a little tea on her saucer, and she made the guy get on the floor like a dog and beg for his job. And they said another guy who built a barbecue, gave her a bill for $13,000. She refused to pay because of shoddy workmanship. He pleaded with her and said, he has 6 children to support. And her reply was, well, you should have kept it in your pants and you wouldn't have to worry about the money. She didn't pay the bill. Happy birthday, Leona.
Wow. And happy birthday, America. We're celebrating all the best qualities of our country on this July 4th. Hey, we're going to take a really quick break here. And when we come back, we have a fun little piece about Apple and some of the questions you may be asked if you are applying for a job there in one of the many areas that they have available. And I think you'll be surprised by I'm stumped by some of these. So we'll see. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Happy 4th of July if you're tuning in, or if it's, later on, because a lot of you time shift. We hope you're all having
it could be Saturday the 7th.
Safe holiday. Could be the 7th.
Saturday the 7th. Happy 7th.
Happy 7th. Well, that's when the audio version goes out. Yeah. So learn more about us and everything that we do over at focusgroupradio.com. John had found this cute little shop talk about interviews that people have been asked at and their interviews for Apple. And Apple and Google are notorious for supposedly having very difficult or challenging interview questions. And somebody went, I think this was from Business Insider.
I think, how many did they have originally? There was 24 or 49? Like, there's a lot of questions.
So someone went to Glassdoor and pulled down the questions because Glassdoor is a site where we'll give you kind of insider info about a company. So John said, why don't we each pick a couple questions? So I picked 3, John picked 2, but I'll let John go first and ask me one of the questions I picked and see how I would answer it.
All right, so I'm an Apple executive and I'm interviewing Tim, and I'm going to say the following. You have 100 coins laying flat on a table, each with a head side and a tail side. 10 of them are heads up, 90 are tails up. You can't feel, see, or in any other way find out which side is up. Split the coins into 2 piles such that there are the same number of heads in each pile. So we start with 10 are heads up, everything else is tails up. But you can't feel them or touch them or, I guess, see them. Separate them so that in 2 piles there's an equal number of heads.
So I'm supposed to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's easy. I just take 50 coins and put them to the side, and the other 50 to the other side. There's going to be heads and tails in each coin.
But how can you guarantee that there are the same number of heads in each pile?
Because there's only 100 coins, so there's only 100 heads. So if I did 50, I'm going to have 50 heads on each side. The fact that they're flipped up or down doesn't make any difference.
No, I think it does.
No, it doesn't.
Well, there's only 10 of them, but 90 are tails
It doesn't
up.
matter, because every coin's got a head and a tail. All the question said was, split the coins into 2 piles such that there are the same number of heads in each pile. There's 100 heads and 100 tails. So you just do 50.
I'm looking at John and Garrett. John is incredulous, one of my favorite words. Garrett looks a little...
I feel like that's the answer I would give, and then they would say that's wrong.
No, but listen, if you can't,
right.
you can't see, you can't touch, you can't feel. I mean, this is one of these where when you pick it apart, and it's the language part of it, it doesn't say split the coins into 2 piles such that they're the same number of heads up, as it says here, heads up, or tails up. It doesn't say that. It just says so that there's the same number of heads in each pile.
All right. I think that either you identified the red herring correctly, which is the variance, this 10 up, 90 up thing.
If you split it in two, split the question in two. You have 100 coins on the table. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
You have to split them so you have an even number of heads and tails. That's 50 coins. It doesn't say split them so that you have the same amount up.
You know, the article was bad because they should have told us what the answers were.
I got it right.
Now, see, you might just get the job because of that headstrong. I don't care what you're asking me. This is the answer.
All right, I'm going to ask John a question. This is for an at-home advisor candidate. This is right up your alley. Explain to an 8-year-old what a modem router is and its functions.
Okay, so I'm going to say to the 8-year-old, have you ever seen Thomas the Train?
Yes.
Okay, so you know Thomas lives in a roundhouse. What is a roundhouse? It's a little thing where Thomas goes on and the track turns and the train goes into different buildings around the roundhouse. So a modem is the main train track that Thomas is on, taking the train, aka information, to the turntable. And a router is the roundhouse.
Router's the roundhouse that's going to
puts
move
the train into the different areas. Yeah, that's how I would do it.
Well,
I would have to be a little more... You know, and then of course you get an 8-year-old who never saw Thomas the Train, then you're screwed. But you know,
no, I think that's a good explanation. I could have never.
Thomas the
come up with
Train,
that.
yeah.
I wasn't a Thomas the Train fan. Do you have another one for me?
All right. What's more important, fixing the customer? This is for an Apple at-home advisor candidate. What's more important, fixing the customer's problem or creating a good customer experience?
Fixing the customer's problem or creating... Well, I think they're one and the same. I think if you fix the problem, the customer's going to say they had a good experience.
Oh, I like that answer. That's very clever. It's a very good answer.
Don't you think?
Yep.
So that's how I would say it. I would say you want to be able to fix the problem because then you're guaranteed a good customer experience. So they're really both equally of equal importance in order to get to the conclusion.
Do you think a different candidate would have answered that differently? Like, would they have fixed it? I guess they would have fixated on one or the other, right? But I agree with you. If you fix the problem, you've created a good experience.
Yeah. Here's another good one for you because I know when you used to work at Marshall's for A for Less or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So here's the scenario, John. You're dealing with an angry customer who is waiting for help for the past 20 minutes and is causing a commotion. So this would be somebody inside the store.
I've been standing here for, why is anybody taking care of me? That kind of thing.
Which I think is kind of odd because I've never experienced that.
Have
you?
I've seen it here in New York. Yeah, you bet, man.
Okay, so the scenario is you're dealing with an angry customer who is waiting for help for the past 20 minutes and is causing a commotion. She claims that she'll just walk over to Best Buy or the Microsoft store to get the computer she wants. Resolve this issue.
Well, in my old days at Marshall's, when I was at the service desk and a woman came up to repair return a pair of shoes that looked like it had been worn for 10 years. And I told her, you've worn these around the world. You're not getting a refund, and I got in trouble and taken off the service desk. So I now learned that lesson. The reason I picked this one is I'm not exactly... This ends up being one of those human interaction things. First, you have to, I'm so sorry this has happened. You can't blame anybody in the store. You can't say we're crowded or whatever.
Busy, we don't have enough help.
You have to
people
basically
fall
say,
down
I'm
sick.
so sorry this happened to you. Let's tackle your problem. What's going on? I've been standing here for so long. I want to buy a computer. Well, what do you need a computer to do? So eventually I think you talk them down from the ledge by being just very gracious, and hopefully you're providing solutions to them. But when someone starts yelling, I'm not going to buy this MacBook. I'm going to go across and get a Surface or whatever it is.
Right.
The old me would have said, go ahead.
Go ahead. Quickest way to go is right through that
Right
door.
through those glass doors. You're going to have a good time. But I think that I would immediately...
If you think service is bad there, head over to Best Buy.
Yeah, but I think you can't blame any of the other employees, and you certainly can't blame the crowded store. You just have to take it on and say, we screwed up. We're sorry. We think you're going to love our products. Let me help you figure out the product you need, and hopefully she calms down. But
I will say I was in Apple a couple of days ago to get a keyboard and
your new
the mouse, and I happened to be dressed like the Apple employees, black shirt and khakis. They were all in black T-shirts and khakis. Some stores, they do red shirts, whatever. And this woman comes barreling up to me with her iPad that's not working and is demanding that I help her with it. And I'm letting her go through the whole thing. And I said, I don't work here. And then she got angry and stormed off. Now, meanwhile, the sales associate was standing there, and I thought, he would have jumped. He could care less.
Yeah.
He stood there and just goes, it's going to be a long day. And then she went in a huff and sat down, and then she went poking around looking for somebody else to help her. But usually when you walk in, someone's on you.
A concierge
So I was
takes
surprised
her,
that she got in as far as she did and was seated and just thought somebody was going to come
walk over. So here's another question for Tim, and this is for an administrative assistant candidate, an admin, right? What is your favorite ice cream? Now, why would they ask that, and what do you think the answer gives anybody?
I put that in there because I used to always ask people now in the auto business what kind of car you drove.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to say Subaru or Volkswagen or whatever, but I think these sort of questions are just simply to see how somebody handles conversation.
Could I guess which flavor you're going to put on?
What would you say?
One of my favorite flavors of all time, most accessible, delivers what I want, is vanilla.
Now, vanilla is by far the most popular ice cream flavor
yeah.
around. Because when I used to work at Baskin-Robbins, vanilla was the hands-down favorite. I loved daiquiri ice, but that is such an odd flavor. And then I thought, okay, I'd like some of these premium ice creams, but I like butter pecan ice cream for some reason. I love Bo Pecan.
Bo Pecan.
That's what they used to call it.
At Baskin-Robbins, they called it Bo Pecan.
And with the Ben and Jerry's stuff, I like Cherry Garcia. Quite frankly, I haven't met an ice cream I don't like. And so
a sidebar on the ice cream front, I'm late to the party, but I just discovered this Halo ice cream.
Which is not ice cream. It's ice milk, right?
Well, I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's fantastic. And you could have like a little bit of it and you're satisfied, and it doesn't have that.
It's not fantastic. It's edible.
I don't eat ice cream that often.
Ice cream goes. See, I love ice cream. So you want the creaminess, John. But I understand what you're saying. It's good.
I had orange ice cream last night. They had
Where?
Halo has something called Rainbow, and
it wasn't sherbet.
It's not sherbet
because they don't have. It's no cream in that.
Orange, red, and green. So it was orange, raspberry, and lime, and it was fantastic. And I thought of you because
can't get orange ice cream.
Loves orange ice cream. All right, so how do you think we did on these questions?
I think I answered them and you answered them perfectly, but I don't know if we'd get hired at Apple. Considering some of the people I know that have worked at Apple, I'm kind of shocked.
I'm curious. I'm wondering if some of the candidates are able to answer very succinctly and very quickly with one or two sentences, especially like the scenario of helping a customer out. Like, you can't get too flowery about that with an answer. You have to be like, here's what I do. I do this. Very action-oriented, you know?
I had a guy I'd interviewed for a job, and the guy asked me, if there was a billboard, what would your billboard look like?
Oh, God.
And he got mad at me. And he goes, you could take time. I said, I don't need any time. Because I think he wanted to go to the bathroom or go do something. He says, I want you to create the billboard of your life.
I do remember.
What would your billboard be? I said, I'll tell you what it is right now. I'm busy.
I'm busy.
Tim Bennett. He's like, well, no, you can think about it. I said, I don't need to think about it. I said, I'm busy. But I didn't get the job.
That's classic.
So, you know how that works.
Yeah, I remember one of my first interviews out of college. I mean, literally, it was the second interview I was on, and this woman was not in a good mood. I don't think she wanted to conduct the interview. And I'm in there with my college portfolio, my graphic.
Your Indian ink?
The big portfolio case, and she's flipping through it. She goes, student work, student work, student work, student work. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm out of school 4 weeks. And then she taps it with this nail, like this shiny nail that she just had done at the salon.
Student work.
And she said, besides this, and she goes like this, she goes, what turns you on as a person? and I was like, hanging out with my friends and going to the movies. She goes, yeah, friends and movies. She goes, all right,
Walking
thanks
on
for
the beach.
Yeah, it was really
Night by the
insulting.
fire.
I remember walking. It was at CBS actually. It was Black Rock. CBS. It was for student work. I filed that away, and I thought, if I ever treat someone like that in the future, I need to be taken out behind the barn like the old horse, the lame horse. Boom, right. Later on, I heard from the woman who arranged the interview that they found out that the woman who gave me the interview was having a bad day, and I think she was on the cusp of having a divorce or something. And later on, she said to the woman, like, I had that young guy in here, and I think it was I don't think it was a good interview. And the woman who got me in said, she goes, you don't think it was? She goes, it was horrible. I had my little cheap tie on and my cheap suit.
There you go.
Probably my cheap loafers, too. All right, we're going to take a super quick break, and when we come back, we have a couple of facts about the 4th of July that you might not have known. And if you didn't know, then now you're going to know. So be right back after this quick break.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money and I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Hey, welcome to our 4th of July spectacular. I'm in the nation's capital. John's over.
And there's
the
clearly
Statue
you're
of Liberty.
outdoor because there's a breeze going in that one lock of hair.
Is that?
Yeah, there you go.
One lock of hair. Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday.
John had done some work that I would usually do. I was shocked when I saw this in the notes.
I surprised you? Okay.
Working overtime. Because
that I
John put
surprised
together
you.
some 4th of July facts.
And that you normally do this.
So I laughed and I laughed. But so where'd you get these from?
I don't really remember. I plugged in.
I don't know.
After I had Google analyzed my dream, and I don't dream anymore.
I think that's funny. Wouldn't you Google when you had a dream? Wouldn't you Google it and see what you dreamt about?
No, but when I had therapy years and years ago, and I brought up the word dream, instantly the notebook and the pen came up, and he took no notes, anything else. But I said, I had an odd dream last night. Oh, really? Tell me about it.
See, I always Google my dreams, see what's going on.
And another piece to the puzzle. I always Google my dreams.
Do you guys Google your dreams?
No. That's like believing in ghosts.
I haven't.
I've seen ghosts. I've seen many ghosts.
Garrett, that's like
we're going to do a whole ghost show. We're going to bring a psychic on and do a ghost show.
We'll say the pet psychic.
The pet psychic was good. We had Sandra Fitzpatrick.
She knew about. Yeah, it was Sandra Fitzpatrick. She had a show over at the old platform. So, all right. So a couple of quick facts for you folks. Only 2 people actually signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. It was John Hancock and Charles Thompson, the Secretary of the Congress. Most of the other delegates signed on August 2nd because it took that long to move the paper around.
It's hot. It's hot in Philly.
In the saddlebag and hop your way down to wherever they're going. I mean, they had to go around with it.
Did the delegates come in? They must have come in and signed.
I think. Oh, you think so?
Well, I think so. That according to the Independence Hall, they all came in and signed, but probably had to come in. So it was written. It was written a few days before, right? And then
finalized.
The first.
John Hancock with the gorgeous
that would have been
signature.
signed first. So that was the beginning of we're getting. Because otherwise, we would be celebrating August 2nd.
Well, actually, I think that they wanted to celebrate the independence of the nation on July 2nd when the document was done being drafted. That was one of the
That's when they wanted to do
one of the fun facts as well, yeah.
Huh. So what were some of the other facts?
One U.S. president, Calvin Coolidge, was born on July 4th. So were Nathaniel Hawthorne, Neil Simon, George Steinbrenner, and Malia Obama.
Now, I know not a bunch, I think 3 or 4 died on the 4th.
Presidents?
Yeah. There's a few, and of course I should have looked it up, but I didn't. But I know there's a few that have died on the 4th, which I thought was kind of also a little bit.
All right, this next one I think could happen today, frankly, because of the powder keg of emotions that define our politics. Fireworks have been a major part of the 4th since the earliest celebrations. In 1884, miners blew up the post office in Swan, Colorado because it wasn't supplied with fireworks. And I'm guessing back in the day, the government supplied towns
post offices with fireworks?
With fireworks. I'm just taking a guess at it because they were so pissed that they didn't have fireworks, they blew up the post office.
I wonder where Swan is. I wonder if that's near Telluride. You can still see that happening today, as you said. Crazies out there.
Yeah.
They're all lit up.
I want a bottle rocket. Boom! Window shatters. I want a, whatever they're called. And go ahead.
And then the last one you did, and I was wondering about this. Now, are you going to do a cookout on the 4th?
Yeah, we're doing a cookout.
What are you going to make?
We usually just make hamburgers and maybe chicken.
See, I want a cookout with hamburgers and hot dogs. I'm tired of going to people's houses and getting all this kind of crazy chicken,
veggie burger,
and all this nonsense. I just want a hamburger and a hot dog.
Good hot dog, a decent hot dog.
So it says Americans consume 155 million hot dogs on the 4th of July each year, and they spend 92 million on chips. I don't know what kind of chips they're getting. 168 million on watermelon, and 341.4 million on beer. Are you going to get any of these other things? Watermelon, beer?
We always do a watermelon, and I don't mind chips. You know what I've really like a lot lately are those Terra chips, the vegetable chips. Maybe it's because of the amount of salt on them. They're saltier than a Wise potato chip, I am telling you, and I love them. Anyway.
Did you look at the calorie content in this one, too, and you saved a half a gram or something rather than having a good potato chip?
I save a lot of grams. And I have a delicious salty chip, and you're not going to take Terra down just because you like...
It's some real ice cream and some
real
Wise or Lay's potato chips. You're doing
Did you get Charles chips when you were a kid?
Yes,
Yeah, we got the Charles chip in the can.
You must have because you were Pennsylvanian.
We love Charles chips. And they were salty and greasy. And,
they still sell them,
Yeah. You know what?
Bag of Charles.
By the way, one of the things I found interesting about that last statistic was the expenditure. If you reversed it, the most money was spent on what?
Beer.
Now we take that and we marry it to the miners who were pissed off about the fireworks in Colorado and they blew up the post office. You see how this all works.
Do you have beer at your house? Do you drink beer?
Sometimes I do, yeah. I like a Hefeweizen.
But so you guys wouldn't be serving beer at your...
Oh, we'll have some beer, yeah.
Trace and Christine will come up. Will you drink wine?
Oh, they'll bring a box of rosé.
Box?
Yeah, they do that. Boxed wine. Yeah, they'll bring a box.
Doesn't he own a liquor store?
Yeah, we're counting on him bringing up a box of rosé.
A box?
It's the best. It's this rose. Yes, this rosé. Rosé in a box.
What's the brand?
I always have rosé. John, go in the kitchen and get yourself a Ritz cracker with some tuna on it and rosé from the box. He was ahead of his time, that friend.
Is it Franzi or something? Like, is it that kind of box
No.
wine?
It's high-end stuff.
I want a name.
But there are still people that turn their nose up at it. I mean,
I'll drink it because I like it in the fridge with the spout. But I'd like to know.
Exactly what
I'd like to know the name. So you're going to drink a box of rosé on the 4th?
I probably won't. I'll probably have a vodka tonic or something.
You're so disciplined.
I'm not going to have just one vodka tonic, but I'll,
But you are disciplined. See, I like Bob. Bob's with me. Bob will keep the party going.
So is Trace. Oh, look,
I got to come up to the.
He'll have martinis
Trace will
and
keep the party
wine.
Going. Good.
Yeah, he'll keep it all going for you. So those are some fun facts for the 4th.
Well, thanks for collecting those, John.
And I should have collected a few more, but some of them are nonsensical. But there might have been one. You might have been right about the death of famous politicians or presidents who died on the 4th.
Died on the 4th, and I forgot who it was. I don't know.
And there was a couple of them. Hey, thanks for joining us. We hope you had a great 4th if you're listening to this on the 7th. But if you're watching it on the 4th, hey, happy 4th of July, and thanks for tuning in. We want to thank John and Garrett. Guys, have a great holiday. And, of course, we want to thank Volkswagen Group of America that have been with us for over 8 years. Tim and I are both driving the all-track wagon. and we're quite happy with it. You were getting 30.
I got 38 miles per gallon.
Whoa.
38, which is unbelievable. I put it on the
Cruise control,
the adaptive cruise, and drove to Rehoboth, and I got 30.
Do you think that the reason I don't get that is because of the bike rack?
No.
That's aerodynamics. It reduces.
What are you setting it at? What speed?
Oh, like 62, 63.
You got to go faster.
We can't. We'll get pulled over by the chippy.
What's the speed limit?
55.
So you could. So 62.
I always say 7 miles above, and I'm riding safe. But
see, it's 65 for a lot on the way to Delaware.
Out west,
so I'll set
we were
it at
getting
72.
Yeah, out west when we had the all-track wagon, we were getting 34, 35 to the gallon, no sweat. But it was 65 or 75 miles an hour. Yeah, well, actually, it's higher than that.
And Delaware is also flat.
Very.
It's the land that got ironed.
Very. We have hills. All right. Don't text and drive. Arrive alive, and we'll see you after the holiday.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.